Action from the Illinois State Capitol.
Welcome back. House Democrat Justin Slaughter joins us now from his home office in Chicago. Representative, good to have you with us.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate the work that you do, and excited to be here.
You helped to sponsor this police reform measure, one of the 4 pillars in the Legislative Black Caucus agenda during the lame duck session. Can you start just by responding to Republican criticism that this 700-page bill was pushed through at the last minute? Yes, there were legislative hearings leading up to it. Yes, there were concepts. But we heard House Republican leader Jim Durkin just this week say, yeah, but we didn't get the actual language until just a few hours before it was passed on a partisan roll call. Can you respond to that?
Sure. And I mean, not just from a contemporary standpoint and looking at it through that lens, but also we know that historically these have been issues and challenges that the Illinois legislature has attempted to deal with. These are not new issues or new challenges that's been put on our radar. But with that being said, it's important not to convolute the conversation. And I think in regards to a lot of the opposition, you've seen efforts to divert the attention away from the fact that criminal justice reform needs to happen. In regards to what we're doing with the bill, it really signifies a moment where we want to stop asking and requesting and more so build towards progress, which means more so putting forth demands as we look at changing a system that we know disproportionately impacts communities of color, and particularly the Black community. And so in regards to racism, discrimination, disrespect, it was important to legislatively take action and to start somewhere.
We saw the tens of thousands, the hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people marching in the streets this last summer demanding change. Yet Illinois was the first state to say one of the ways we're going to effectuate that change is by ending cash bail. Connect the dots for me. How'd you get there?
Well, great question, Mark. And with cash bail, that is one of the major provisions of the bill. Actually, what we did is we codified the Pre-Trial Fairness Act. There was a separate bill that was out there. And maybe, in starting to answer your question, wanted to start there. The bill, the initiative and the movement around ending cash bail wasn't just something that, kind of manifested this summer and through the fall. It had been an initiative that the legislature and the Black Caucus in particular was pushing for a few years now. Me, myself, had sponsored a bill in 2019 that looked at ending cash bail. And so this wasn't something that it just popped up. It has been on the radar. We had I think 2, maybe even 3 subject matter hearings, Mark, prior to the summer.
I want to get your response really to Representative Patrick Windhorst, a longtime prosecutor downstate, who said that this issue of allowing people accused of burglary out immediately without posting bond, because that's a sentence for which you can be applied probation, which means they would not fall into that category of the 7 violent felonies or forcible felonies that would require someone to wait in jail. They would be let out immediately. He said that this might invite or encourage people to exploit that and commit more acts of burglary in that year and a half, 2-year run-up to their day in court. Do you have any reason to believe that that might be an unintended consequence here?
Couple things here. First, a tremendous amount of respect for my colleague, Representative Windhorst. I think the most intelligent individual in the General Assembly right now, as you said, former state's attorney in downstate Illinois. One big issue that we really wanted to also address with cash bail is this idea of, or not the idea, but the exercise of certainly garnering more data and more research around these decisions. In particular, getting to directly to answering his concern in your question. So we do have a 2-year runway, or about 2 years. The go live date on cash bail will be January 1st, 2023. These are some of the nuances, some of the issues, some of the challenges that we want to address before this bill goes live in terms of implementing it. And what we want to do with a lot of these situations is move away from solely leaning on the ability or inability to post bond, but use more verified risk assessment tools, use more of a comprehensive approach to understanding that individual's particular situation or circumstance, taking into account the nature of the offense, et cetera, and then making a decision with all those comprehensive factors in play versus just solely, basing it on, one's ability to post bond. And so Representative Windhorst has a point, and I don't even know if it's just that offense. There may be some other offenses that we want to take a look at as well in that regard. But the point would be to look at these nuances, look at these particular offenses, look at how we can individualize a decision-making process in regards to how our bail system will look and how that transformation will look.
Yeah, a lot of times it's up to a judge's discretion, or it had been. This is now a new question for courts, for prosecutors, as they try to wrap their arms around all this. I imagine if Representative Windhorst were still with us, he might point to that and say, okay, well, isn't that evidence that we didn't get everything just right in this first time? They're advocating Governor Pritzker to veto this bill, to go back to the drawing board and put it together in a fuller, more final form that is more amenable to both sides on the politics of this. What would you feel? How would you respond if Governor Pritzker were to take their instruction or their admonition to veto the bill?
Thanks, Mark, for the question. And what I would say to that is that, again, it's important to start somewhere. Right now, I'm even working with our staff to pull out all of the go live dates, the effective dates throughout the bill. There's various effective dates for many of these provisions. I feel, and many in the legislature do feel, that this is a great starting point. I think that the governor certainly needs to sign the bill, and we do. There's work to be done when we pass any bill. But Mark, especially when you pass a broad, ambitious omnibus bill of this nature, you just don't do it and put it on the shelf and have it collect dust, right? The work, the collaboration must continue to iron out these kinks. And I think that the effective dates on these provisions allow us to do that. In fact, I think by signing the bill, what you do is you do create that energy and the synergy that's needed to then, have the stakeholders at the table to collaborate to address these concerns.
Police accountability was one of the main aims or focal points of this debate. Yet now, perhaps an unintended consequence or maybe some bluster, I'll let you analyze this, but there's a police chief in Vernon Hills, a northern suburb of Chicago, who just this week said that if his police, right now, his officers are wearing body cameras. But if this bill finalizes and goes into effect in 2025, another one of those start dates off into the future, then it would open officers to liability of citation or of penalty if, for whatever reason, their body camera were to shut off in that interaction. This chief says, okay, if that's what we're going to do, I'm going to take all the body cameras off of my officers. The entire station will discontinue their use. Your reaction?
The people of Illinois want body cameras. So this is an area where I think that we can all come together and iron out those kinks. Again, we want to make sure that we're addressing bad policing as it relates to body cameras. So, you don't want to penalize an officer if he or she unintentionally, doesn't have their body camera on, right? This is all about intentionality and police misconduct. And so if we need to go into the statute, back into the bill, and tweak that and make amendments so that it makes it easier and so that the morale and confidence of police officers is restored in regards to, implementing a body cam program. That's what we want to do. And so it's important to note that even as a sponsor of the bill, understanding, hey, there's these concerns here. We want to work with law enforcement to ensure that we have a robust but also effective and impactful body cam program. And so, these areas where, if we went too far and, it may be inoperable for police officers, we want to address that. But again, let's also highlight the fact that a lot of the confidence and a lot of the trust has diminished from the public because, there's too many instances where, officers don't have body cams, or if they do, they're not turned on.
We're back in just a moment. Representative Slaughter joining us from his offices in Chicago. Stick around.